Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. I did a video earlier explaining the death of the BBC, how it was dying because it basically wasn't attracting younger viewers. Well, the same is happening with the Conservative Party. Young people are abandoning the Tories. There's an article here, it's in Huffington Post, but it was based on a YouGov poll of 35,000 people. And the takeaway is who is voting for what. Now, this will make for horrifying, absolutely terrifying reading for the Tories. Nigel, on the other hand, well, he'll be rubbing his hands in glee. More voters aged between 18 and 30 voted for Reform than did Tory. Nearly 10% of these voters, aged 18 to 30, 10% of them voted for Reform. Only 8% voted for the Tories. This is a startling statistic. It's the young. The young are rejecting the Conservative Party, not necessarily rejecting the right. And there is where the problems lie for the Tories as they move ever further to the left. You're getting disenfranchised people with only one natural home, and that'll be Farage. It now means that Reform is one of the most popular parties after Labour, Lib Dems and the Greens in this age bracket. The Lib Dems had 16% of the vote for the under 30s, while the Greens secured 18 from 18 to 24-year-olds, but was slightly less popular with the 25 to 29-year-olds, where it won only 12% of the vote, only slightly ahead of Reform. It means as you get older, you realise that green matters aren't as important as you once thought when you were young, naive, and believed all the crap you're told. The Lib Dems had that 16% of the vote of under 30s, and that's very weird because you don't see the Lib Dems particularly as a youthful party. Or is that just me? You see Labour as a youthful party because working class, young, has it forced into you. Not so much the Lib Dems. That's kind of more middle class, isn't it? Anyway. Labour, of course, was the clear winner. They had 43% of the vote for the under 30s, which, of course, is to be expected. People young go lefty, trendy. As you get older, you have more to conserve and you move to the right. Not always, but there is a tendency to move to the right as you get older. Where this leaves for the future is also interesting, and this is where the likes of Keir Starmer needs to also sort of take stock. Labour was the clear winner, as we said. So YouGov notes that the chances of people voting Tory increases as they age, rising from 8% for the under 30s, as we've said, to 46% of the electorate once they age over 70. So as you get older, you swing to the right. I know I used my left hand for there, but it's only because I'll do it that way then. You swing to the right. It's not entirely clear now if Reform will continue with this trend. It seems likely. If Reform grows and if we can get more proper, grown-up politicians in, as it were, the likes of Suella, for example, others, and Reform becomes more mainstream, then yes, this trend will continue. You will have an actual, genuine party of the right. And that will be the home to the natural Tories as they age up and out from their Labour naivety, I suppose. Something is very big. It is happening. Something very big is happening, sorry. And that should be a T-shirt, really, shouldn't it, for the Reform Party? Sell them at conferences. Something very big is happening. There's been a concern. Now, this is the thing. There's been a concern among Tories, and we mean the Tory party, not the Tory voters, that Reform has siphoned off the right-wing side of the party, and of course will continue to do so going forward. And so increasing numbers of people, as they age, will move towards Reform and away from the Tories. And fewer people at the bottom end are going to support the Tories. Where does this leave the Tories? I think the technical term is up shit creek without a paddle. Because if you don't have that infusion coming up, bubbling up from underneath to replace the ones evaporating at the top, as it were, you'll very soon run out of members. And it doesn't take long. Matter of a few years, and the Tory party will become irrelevant. It will become a very small, minor party. It will be a rump. Meanwhile, of course, Reform will continue to grow. And this is it. An interesting little factoid here, which I've been looking for, is this. More in Common think tank and UCL Policy Labs, both sort of politically analysis-based groups, found earlier this month that only 31% who backed Farage said they would have otherwise backed the Tories. That is where Keir Starmer needs to be very, very frightened. 69% of people who voted Reform weren't Tory. So they must have been Labour, Lib Dem, maybe a couple of Greens. Who knows? But you know it's going to be predominantly Labour. And so you're getting Reform, a right-wing party, a party of the right, very, very attractive now and filled with leftists, filled with ostensibly Labour members. Why are they attractive to what Reform is doing, even if they're socialist by nature? I think it's because Farage has identified the metric to which politics should be measured. And that is, what good does it do for the country? And Farage has said that closing the borders, strengthening the borders there is important. So it's not pandering to the virtue showing and all this that the parties have done. He said looking at it in a real basis, costing things out, not doing something because it looks good, doing something because it is good. And there's a big difference. And he's seen these things, and that is why he has done very well. And that's why he will continue to pull from the socialists as well, because they want those sort of things. Your average working class man who may have voted Labour his whole life sees the damage to our society that's been done by the Tories and Labour, and which will now happen under Labour even faster and worse than the Tories were doing. And they want a home. And that's where it's gone. And that's why Reform is now the new party that's attractive to both the right and the left and the working class, which of course is the biggest cohort of them all. If Nigel doesn't screw it up, Nigel could well be Prime Minister in 5 years' time. Thanks very much. Bye.